Hi, everyone, and welcome to the brand new season of the Fandom Report. That is right. New name, new season, new format, where it's a whole new ball game. And I am so excited to host the very first episode with my very dear and good friend, Jess, aka Female Peter Parker.
Hello, hello.
Hello. And I see that you are wearing the Stark University sweater
Of
from my merch
course.
account. Oh my
Of
God.
course. We love
I
it so
love it.
much. It's so comfy. It's like the
Yes.
softest sweatshirt I own, and I throw it on every day. I'm
That makes
not
me so
even
happy.
kidding.
But yes, we both know why we are here today, and you all know why we are here today to talk about the first two episodes of Hawkeye.
It was so good.
It was so good.
It was so good. Oh my God. I don't know how you were feeling, but literally 10 minutes into the first episode, I was like bawling. I
Yes.
literally
Yes.
and then like
Yeah.
it was counteracted by like laughing at the same time, but it was just a
Mhm.
really
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it was a great way to introduce Kate and like set up her backstory. And I did like how with like the opening credits that they kind of just walked you through her whole like we're not going to do all these flashbacks, we're not going to do all these things. It's just you can see she did all these things, she's trained, she's very skilled. That's it, we're moving on. But the opening with the flashback to Battle of New York, oh my gosh, as soon as her young Kate Bishop's reaction to like the explosions and seeing the Shatari outside, like that already, I just wanted to hug that little girl. But then when as soon as she like walks into the office and you just know that the dad is gone.
I know. And then that whole like part where she's standing on the ledge of the exploded wall and she's looking, and it's that scene where Clint like jumps off and he like shoots the
Yes.
arrow, and then they did like a different angle of it. I literally was like, oh my God.
Yes.
Oh
Yes. Okay. So first of all, I got a little bit of like Tony and Peter Parker vibes from Iron Man 3
yes.
when Tony saves Peter. It's very similar, we have a new mentor-mentee relationship where without knowing it, he saved the person who will become his new mentee. And it's just so good because that clip of Clint when he, jumps off the roof and like shoots the arrow. That's like one of my favorite Hawkeye moments in like the entire MCU. So I'm really glad that they revisited that.
It's so good. Oh, I love like little callbacks like that. I feel like it
Mhm.
makes everything connect so well. They did such a
Yeah.
good job. And
Yeah.
then we're halfway done crying, and then Rogers the musical.
Oh my God. I was torn watching Rogers the musical between like vibing with it and just having kind of like secondhand embarrassment. Like I could relate to Clint. Like Clint was just kind of like,
And it's the fact that literally I've probably like written parody songs like that in my free time in the past, and like that's what that reminded me of. Like and then oh my God, but then like at first I was like laughing at it, and then they started like zooming in on Nat, and I just lost
yes.
it again, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh
Mm-hmm.
no.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it we knew it was gonna come, everything with, with Natasha, because that was basically Clint's closest connection in the Avengers. Yeah, that was his best friend. And I know, and there's a hint of the whole Natasha Clint friendship again in episode 2, where Laura mentions Natasha again. And I just feel like, especially with the rumors that Yelena is going to be in the show, I appreciate that Marvel's, still paying tribute to Natasha because, we missed her and we want her back. But it's going to be interesting to see how, because I mean, in this episode, in the two episodes, I should say, Clint was really just kind of like over everything.
I don't blame him.
I mean,
I would
yes,
be too.
like he's just like so over everything. And that's like that attitude of Clint Barton is like what I wish we could see interacting with Natasha, and just knowing that we'll never get that ever unless Scarlett Johansson comes back for like some flashback scene. Who knows?
You
Who
never
knows?
know. Who knows?
But yeah, it's kind of a shame to me that we're getting the best version of Clint Barton, but we'll never see that interacting with Natasha.
So far down the line.
Yeah.
So what you said made me think of two things. The
Hmm.
first was, not gonna lie, I like low key forgot that Nat was gone because I just like don't like to admit that to myself. So
No.
when the scene happened, I was like, yeah, Nat. And then I was like, oh. And then it's so horrible. It like took me a good like 10 seconds to be like,
Oh
oh
no.
yeah, oh my god. Anyways. The
The
second thing,
audio all started zooming out of your head, just like
yeah, I was like,
everything just faded away.
I like my face went white. I was like, um, and then the second thing I was gonna say was in regards to your Yelena comment.
Mhm.
I know there's rumors that she's in the show. I'm actually like curious. I have some odd feeling that they're not gonna have her show up at all, but she'll be like a post-credit scene in the last episode. Like they ended Loki with like that whole like setup for the future of the MCU.
Yeah.
Like that's my guess. I don't really know, but like,
No, I could
yeah.
see that happening. I could definitely see that happening, especially if, because I doubt that they're not going to kill off Clint Barton in his own show.
No.
And they keep saying, Clint Barton's retired. He keeps retiring all the time. He never does. Like the whole thing about this show is that he's staying away from his family on Christmas to save the world again, essentially, or, save Kate. So if Marvel plans to keep him on for even just a little bit longer, I feel like, yeah, keeping Yelena just for a post-credit scene will help with that, especially if it's going to be like a thing where she's trying to kill Clint. So that's going to be a future project, which I'm here for.
Yeah.
Definitely here for Hawkeye season 2.
I especially felt like after watching these first two episodes too, I think they're really trying to focus on like A, Clint and Kate's relationship and bringing Kate
Mm-hmm.
into the MCU, but B, also
Mm-hmm.
like giving Hawkeye fans this like revamped Clint Barton of what they
Yes.
wanted him to be in the first place. So I would be
Yes.
very, like you were saying, like I'd be so surprised if they killed him off in his own show. Like it'd be
Yeah.
very abrupt.
It would be a little unnecessary for a Christmas holiday
It's
TV
like it's
show.
the most my Clint wonderful.
I mean, for some fans, I will say for some Marvel fans, that probably would be the most wonderful time for them. But hopefully they'll change their minds once they see Clint Barton as he was meant to be, which actually reminds me, because I was, kind of skimming through the credits to see if there was a post-credit scene. I know it's still very early in the show for that, but you never know. Marvel likes to surprise us. And when I was skimming through, I saw that one of the consulting producers was actually Matt Fraction of what,
Oh,
so
that's why it's so good.
that's why it's so good, because
It's
even
so
like
good.
the title cards had like kind of a similar style to the Matt Fraction comics as
It
well.
had like
So
I'm
it's,
pretty sure it's the same font, isn't it? It looks
yes,
like exactly the same.
I
Yeah.
think I have it right here. It's very similar.
Referencing.
It's
Yeah.
very, very
It's
similar.
like, oh, it's so perfect. I
Yeah,
love it.
it's so good. It's so good.
I love the
Yeah.
Matt Fraction comics. I was so excited when they had Lucky. Like I know his name's
Yes.
not Lucky yet, but like we
Yet.
know it's Lucky from the comics. So,
Hmm.
but like, and then when, oh my gosh, I can't even tell you how loud I screamed when Grills showed up. I was like, my God, like, oh, but now I'm scared because like spoilers for the comics, guys,
Hmm.
but like they kill him in the comics and he like dies. So now I'm like really nervous. But I'm also curious if it's more of like a hat tip thing where he'll show up for that one episode and then they'll never mention him again.
I mean,
But
it could be either, because that would definitely give some motivation for Clint, especially if they want to bring him back for another season. Like if somebody not related to the Tracksuit Mafia, you know, kills kills him because they saw him with the suit, or because he
exactly my
posted it
thought.
on social media.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he posted on social
That's
media,
so true.
because so there's, and we're kind of veering off into theories more than anything now, but there's this other theory that Vincent D'Onofrio, who played Wilson Fisk in the Netflix Daredevil show, is going to make an appearance in
Oh.
in Hawkeye. So if Marvel is trying to do some sort of soft reboot of Daredevil, they could show how Ronan kind of played a hand in toppling Wilson Fisk's organization. So if Fisk is trying to find Ronan and he finds this guy maybe interrogating or something, trying to figure out where, like, who did you give the suit to, blah blah blah, and then that leads to like a Fisk Clint Barton, what's the word I'm looking for, interaction, conflict, that's the word,
There you
conflict down the
go.
line.
Yeah.
Hmm.
There's so much potential. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know, just everything. I know I say this about like everything that Marvel releases, but like the show started and I was like, this is it. This is my new favorite. Like
No, it is really good. And the thing is, finally, Marvel is giving us shows that are more than 30 minutes long. Like
yeah.
the episodes are at least 40, like 45-ish minutes each, like not including credits. So it's like, finally, thank God. But it doesn't feel that long either. It goes by so fast.
Yeah. Yeah, like you'll be like watching it and then it's over and you're like, wait, that's it? That was the
Yeah.
whole that there's no more this week? Like, huh?
Yeah. No,
That's
and
how
they
I felt
both
about this
end so
week's.
well. No,
Oh
yeah,
my,
yeah.
I know. Yeah, no, the second episode, I was just like, why?
Echo.
Like, I know, I was like, you ended it on such like a cliffhanger, man. I
Yeah,
gotta know. I mean, like,
yeah.
it was so parallel to all I could think about was that one Matt Fraction comic.
Mhm.
Like, well, they already did it in episode one with the auction scene. Like, they had
Yes.
that whole thing in the comics with Madame Mask, which I'm curious if she'll show up in the show. I feel like there were some, I don't know. Anyways,
Mhm.
um, but so like when they were doing that, I was like, oh yes, the auction. But then like
Mhm.
the comics had to do with like a tape that Clint had,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So like
Yeah.
that was a little different. And
Yeah.
then but yeah, I think like that second episode with like Kate falling through the ceiling and stuff was like, wasn't it also
Yes.
a part of that comic where they like
She
had
like jumps
him
through
in
a
a,
window, or like
yeah,
he like Clint like grabs Kate, so while she's aiming the bow he's like running, and then they jump through a window or something like that.
yeah, it was very,
Yeah.
I just love seeing all the comic references. Like it's so cool.
Yes. So I'm actually like looking through the comics right now. So like 100%, what's his face? Jack is this guy.
You are
100%.
so I knew he was
100%.
familiar and I
Yes.
couldn't figure out why.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't put the pieces together until he did
it's the
that move when they
mustache.
were sparring, when they were fencing, him and Kate, when he did that move where he parried her blow from his face. I was like, wait, that's the guy. That's the guy from the
Yeah.
comics.
Oh, I'm trying to
Yeah.
remember his name. It was something in
It was
French.
oh, I just had the page open too. It was, he introduces himself as Jacques. Oh no, that he doesn't introduce himself. That's the name of the person who trained him. Okay. I don't know what his name is because it's not in
I
this
think I,
comic, but it's
yeah.
definitely this guy. Definitely
The
him.
fencing guy with the fancy mustache
Yes.
from the circus. Love it.
Yes. And then also in the comics, obviously the Tracksuit Mafia.
I was okay. So here were my thoughts because we knew they were going to be in it from the trailers they gave us.
Yes.
And I was curious if they were going to stick to them saying bro every 5 seconds. And they did. And it was so funny. Like,
And it's done so well.
yeah, it's not
Like
like
it's not
obnoxious. Like,
annoying. Yes.
yeah, it's like, bro,
Bro.
bro.
Like when they're like when the one guy takes offense to Clint saying like, oh, like, nice place you got. He's like, what am I supposed to do? Like, bro, it's okay. No, bro, but bro. I'm like, it's so good.
It's so funny. And
Yeah,
then
because
Clint starts like mocking them. That was hilarious.
yes.
Oh my
No,
god.
and the thing when Clint like untied himself from the chair, I mean, I immediately thought of Arrow, like the pilot. I don't know if you've seen Arrow. That's like the Green Arrow show that used to be on the CW. In the very first episode, Oliver Queen like gets kidnapped and he's being tortured for information, and he does like the same thing. Like he just like he's tied to a chair and he just like it's just like, actually, I'm not actually cuffed to the chair. So I was immediately, and it's like both shows about archers.
I was about to
And
say the
yeah,
Archer, like
yes.
the Archer vibes.
So it's like if you're ever gonna make a show about an archer, they're gonna have to be kidnapped, tied to a chair, and then just be like, actually, voila, I
Just
am
kidding.
free.
I also think it's important to bring up the whole scene with Clint LARPing in Central Park because that was also hilarious.
It was so good.
And he just wanted no part of it. Like I was like, me too. Like me too, dude. I feel you.
I think what made that so great
So
was just
funny.
like how much he was just proverbially dragging his feet. Like he just does not want to do this. He's like, why me, God? Why?
like literally all he wanted was to just go up to the guy and be like, hey, can I please have my suit back? And they just made him do like, oh my god, it was so funny. I think LARPing is actually so interesting. Like,
Yeah.
it's like a cool concept. We need to figure out, like, there needs to be like a Marvel LARPing somewhere.
Yes.
We all gotta go
Yes.
and Marvel LARP in New York.
Yeah, we all have our suits and costumes. Like, let's just do it. Just take it's like taking
Big
cosplay to like the
cosplay,
next
yeah.
level. Yeah.
Exactly. It would,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, that would be so much fun. You guys, comment below. Should me and Catherine set up a LARPing in New York?
In Central Park.
In Central Park.
So we're just gonna make it just
We'll
exactly.
get NYPD will come and arrest us all because we don't have
We don't
permits
have
to
a permit.
LARP. Like,
Nobody snitch. Everybody, nobody snitch.
bro, don't snitch on us, bro. Don't
do it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but no, especially the whole slow-mo of him like walking through, and he's just like so bored. He's like not even putting any effort into it. He's just he's just done.
Didn't he say like, oh god, or something at one point too? Like he was walking, he was like, oh, and it was in slow motion.
Yes, no, it was like somebody next to him got hit and they were being super dramatic, and he's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what the heck? And then when he's doing like the one-on-one duel, and he keeps saying just like, kill me, just kill me, just kill
Yeah, he's
me.
like, I'm ready.
I want to get this over with, please.
I also, switching topics again,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
have this headcanon now about like that whole scene with him and Kate where he's like addressing her wound on her
Yes.
forehead and stuff, but I'm just picturing like him and Bruce together, and Bruce is like, no, you're doing it wrong, like let me show you. And that's where Clint learned it. Like this is my headcanon now, that he learned how to do it from Bruce, and Clint's just like, I'm an expert now, like
Not gonna
everyone out of my
lie.
way.
Not gonna lie. I had something similar, but for me it was Natasha.
Yes.
For me it was
Aw.
Natasha. Because we know Natasha, the girl, knows how to take care of herself, especially wasn't she, I think she was also stitching up Yelena's cut or something like
She
that
was.
in Black Widow. So that was like where my mind
Rubbing
went to.
alcohol. Oh my god.
Yes. But yeah, you can tell that it's very obvious that Clint's gonna develop like these paternal feelings. He won't be able to help it.
Oh, I love Kate already. I loved Kate
Yes.
before the show even came out, just from the comic standpoint. But like,
Mhm.
I feel like seeing her live action now made me love her that much more. And like, I relate to her so much. Like, we're the same age, and just like she's so chaotic. And I was like, me, like, I love the whole time I was watching. I think I said like 3 or 4 times out loud to myself, I was like, she's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment. Like, she really is.
Oh, she's great, and Haley's doing such a great job playing her. And the thing is too is like I'm slightly older than 22, but like the whole like where she like does like the triple texting and like the calling is like, should I call again? It's like, wait, I don't know, like the whole like second guessing herself, but like the interactions with like, with somebody who's older, it's just the writers got it on the nose. Like they nailed down that like early 20s, just like kind of chaoticness, like the word you said, like it's just chaos. And you just want to like hug her, but like also just like go to a bar with her too.
Yes. And like, I think like the great example of like the clock tower, like I feel like symbolically, like the clock tower is like symbolic of her life, right? And then she just hits it, and it's literally crumbling, and she's like, it's okay. I mean, like,
okay.
That's like only one part of it, and then it crumbles more, and she's like, no, really, like it's just that part of it. Like at least I got the rest. And it starts like, that's literally what it's like to be in your 20s. Like, it's
no,
really
and when she was like, yeah, well, all of the great bells have a crack in them.
She's so funny.
Mood.
Oh, I love her so much.
And then she was like the pizza dog, when she refers to, like, she's like the pizza dog. It's like a royal title, distinguishing and everything. I was like, it's like she's very obviously Gen Z, and I'm here for it.
I love her. Oh, she's so iconic. And just like when she was wearing her aunt's clothing, and just like she was like, it's comfortable. Like I was like,
but the thing, she looked good too. Like I would never be able to pull that off, but she looked really good in it.
She did. She was rocking and then her
Yeah.
mom, what are you wearing? I was like,
It's like it's Chanel.
can we also talk
Probably.
about what an absolute power move it was for her to wear a suit to that gala after her mom told her to wear a dress? I was like,
Yes.
you go.
Yes.
Oh my God. I was so excited.
I mean, she had the tie. It was kind of hard to see because like all black, but she had like the tie and everything. I was like, what an icon.
And then I got so
She,
mad when what's his face was like, maybe you should wear something more ladylike to the wedding. Like
oh
I was like, I was
yeah.
so, oh my God.
I
Like
was like,
she's rocking a suit.
like pervy old man who's very misogynistic, very obviously. Like, okay, also while you brought that up, I'm like stumbling over my words because I'm so mad about this guy. When he was like, oh, are you sure he hit the jackpot with your mother? I was like, excuse me, who do you think you are?
I know. I was like, the tea. Yeah, did not like his. I know we weren't supposed to like his character, but
Yeah,
really did not like him. He was
yeah.
not a vibe.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
No.
Although I feel like it's too obvious that Jack is the one who killed him, but at the same time, I'm like, Jack
Yeah.
definitely killed him.
I'm but I'm curious though because I feel like Marvel does this to us a lot where they'll like make it obvious that it's a person, but then it's actually
Mephisto.
the yeah, like it's actually the
Mephisto.
person control like Agatha and Ralph,
Yeah.
like she was controlling him the whole time. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
actually like, like I feel like it's gonna be one of those moments again, and I'm scared
Mm.
because I'm like, oh, stupid the whole Ralph thing. I'm still
Oh
upset
God.
about it.
That's a whole, we can have a whole other episode talking about
Shit on
that.
WandaVision.
That my feelings about Ralph Boner. I can't even
Uh,
say that. um, but yeah, no, the person who actually killed Armand was Mephisto. That end of
of
story.
course. Yeah. Actually, but no, it wasn't Mephisto. It was Doctor Strange as Mephisto disguised
Yes.
as Armani or whatever his name was.
Yes.
Three
Armani.
different people. That's all literally every time I heard his name, I just heard like Armani in my head. I know it wasn't it, but I was just like, his name's Armani now.
Armani the third
Yeah.
out of 7.
Out of 7.
If you
Oh, the
collect all 7, you get a
butterscotch.
full Armani suit.
But yes, the Armanis. That's just what I'm gonna call him from now on. Oh
Yeah,
my God. So
Armani.
funny. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, the whole butterscotch thing was like,
Yeah.
that's some tea. Oh my God. I feel like I have to sneeze. Hang on.
Oh
Nope, it's
no.
gonna go away. Okay. Yeah, we're just gonna deal with it.
Okay.
If I sneeze on this podcast, it'll be ingrained forever. My
It'll be
sneeze.
the first sneeze we ever
The
had on the
first sneeze.
podcast.
I think it's gone. I think we're good. Anyways,
Okay.
back to Hawkeye.
Yes. I totally lost my train of thought.
I did too.
I lost
We're
my
to
reword.
Armani.
Armani. Yes, Armani. Great suits. Great. Not a great guy, but great suits. So in terms of bad guys, like with Jack and everything, there is obviously like a very clear intent and desire with Armand and Jack to like get the Ronin blade. And then the whole thing with the Tracksuit Mafia like wanting the watch. And I think the watch had like a little like sticker on it that said like Avengers Compound or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what the watch, what like part of I know it's probably not going to be, but part of me like wants it to be Tony's, and I don't think it is.
I think it will be though.
Really? Okay.
I
I was
think it
kind of
will
hoping
be.
it will be, but we'll see.
I'm kind of scared actually that the watch is going to be one of the time GPS watches from Endgame. Which like
Oh, that's a good point.
I know they need like the quantum portal or whatever to like go back in time, but that's still like some heavy duty technology. And I'm just like, can we please just not do this anymore? So, like, can we just stop using Tony's inventions as like the cause of all the things going wrong? And because like I already know with Armor Wars that Don Cheadle, Rhodes can't talk. That Don Cheadle's James Rhodes is going to star in, and it's going to have to do with like Stark Tech and everything. And I'm wondering if this is going to play a part in it. But I'm pretty sure I didn't, because didn't really get a good look at it. But I'm pretty sure it's either going to be like some sort of watch Tony had that like opens a vault or something, like underground the Avengers compound, or like turns into an Iron Man gauntlet, or was it time GPS?
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
stressful.
that's a really good point, Catherine. I didn't even think of that. I just saw it and I was like, oh, it reminds me of Tony. I hope it's not his. And then I moved on with the
I think that's what they wanted you to do though. So
exactly. Okay, a little bit of sidetrack and back to the beginning with
yeah.
Rogers the musical, but can we take like 20 seconds to talk about how Scott was at the Avengers Battle of New York in the musical?
Wait, was he?
Yeah,
I
but
totally missed that.
there was a whole part where they were like, so Clint had his hearing aid turned off,
Yeah.
and then his daughter was like, did you turn your hearing aid off? Like whatever.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he was like, I was there, I lived it. And they
Mhm.
were, and then she said something like, you look really cool, and like all the Avengers on stage look really cool. And Clint goes, yeah, well, he wasn't there, and it pans to man.
Oh God. I caught that piece of dialogue, but somehow I missed Scott on stage. Oh my God.
But now I'm just picturing Scott in the audience, like, oh my God, I got a big role. He would be so
He would be so happy. Oh my gosh.
like
Well, no,
right
because
next to
here's the
Steve.
thing. Here's the thing. Rogers the musical is very obviously the MCU's version of Hamilton.
It
Like
is.
we know that that's what it is, which means that it's sold out like for the first I don't know how many years that this show is on Broadway. It's always sold out. It's impossible to get into and everybody's obsessed with it. So you
Yep.
know Scott is blasting that soundtrack all day every day. And he's like, oh, this is like the one line he has in a song. He's like, oh, this is my part. This is my part.
And you just know that he can't get tickets to see it. So he just bootlegs it. And then someone surprises him with tickets. And he's like, oh my God, you guys, I can finally see Rogers the musical.
Well, it makes me wonder too,
Oh,
like
Scott.
how like, and this is like going into like too much detail for a TV show, but like, you know, when you make a life story and produce it and everything, you have to get the people who are in it to like sign a waiver that like, yes, I'm allowed to use it, which means they had to track down all the living Avengers or like their next of kin if they were dead and get them to like sign a waiver saying, yes, you can use my likeness, my name and everything in this musical.
I'm just picturing them going to Bucky, like, we want to make a musical about Steve. And Bucky's just like, okay.
To know what he's signing. He's just like, sure.
Yeah, he's like, I guess. Sam's like,
Meanwhile,
would you
Sam's
just
like,
sign
what are you
that? Like,
doing?
yeah, Sam's like, did you just give them permission? He's like, it's
Like,
payback. Like,
like what? I was like, how much worse could they possibly portray me than the history books do?
it's so true. He's like, Steve loved to perform. He did it in the just sign it off.
That's right. So you know that they have a musical number, the Star Spangled Man with a Plan. Like they have
They
that.
have
They
to.
have to.
They have to.
They have to. I also wonder if they have like a musical number for the Civil War, for the
I
Avengers Civil War.
really hope that they just like release a whole soundtrack for this musical and that it
Yes, I do.
actually like becomes like even just an off Broadway. Like I just need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, it's
Absolutely.
so funny.
I think they underestimated how passionately the fans were going to embrace Rogers the musical.
Yeah,
Like, I just want a whole episode
I
just
want it so
Rogers the
bad.
musical.
Okay, also because this was reminding me when I was talking about it earlier, but did they
Yeah,
ever address when Clint started to wear his hearing aid and like
briefly.
why? I feel like I
Very,
missed
very
it.
briefly. So I believe it's in the yeah, it's in the second episode. There's a moment when Clint and Kate are walking through Times Square and he like moves her to his other side. And she's like, oh, like, you know, that's very
Mhm.
gentlemanly of you, you know, staying to like protect me from danger. He's like, no, it's because I need to hear you. And she's like, oh, like what happened? And so he flashes back to like the Battle of New York where there's like an explosion by his head and Age of Ultron, another explosion by his head. And then Endgame when the compound exploded. And he was like, I couldn't tell you. Like, I don't know why it happened.
Okay, so that what
Yeah.
I like, you know when you like remember watching something but you don't like
Yeah.
connect that that's what they were talking about. That's what
Yeah.
that was for
Yeah.
me. Like I was, now that you're saying it, I'm like realizing. Okay, but
Mhm.
that whole moment with him and Nate when they were doing the sign language,
Yeah.
I was
Oh God.
crying.
It was so I
It
loved it.
was so cute. I hope they
I
put
love
more of
it.
that because that's
Yes.
awesome. Like
Hmm.
representation and stuff.
Yes. Especially after to kind of go on that, slightly off topic of Hawkeye, but to go on that track with Makari after the Eternals came out, there was that whole thing about how Google searches for sign language for beginners was up by like 250%.
I need
With
Makari
like,
and Clint to
yeah,
talk and like
yes,
be and
yes. And
oh, I love
but
them.
like none of the Eternals or Clint's family, nobody who understands sign language is around. And it's just them like just roasting everybody.
Yes.
Just them
That'd
roasting
be
everyone in the
so
room.
good.
And
Scott
then
off to the side. What are they saying?
no, and then Clint would have it like Clint just like adopting like speedsters. But at least this one
Yes.
like can dodge bullets.
Ouch. That hurt.
I had to do it to him.
Oh, I miss
I had to do
Pietro
it to him.
every day.
Yeah.
I wonder if Pietro has his own musical number in Rogers the Musical.
If it was Clint Barton, the musical, probably,
Yes.
but
Unfortunately.
unfortunately for Pietro, he probably does not have a prominent role in Rogers the Musical.
Oh,
I feel like Alexander Pierce probably does
oh,
for
he
being the
totally
new
does.
head of Hydra or whatever. And
And
Captain
Natasha
America.
just walks up. I'm sorry. Did I step on your moment? Like
It's a tap number.
she just said, ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-da-da-da. Oh my gosh.
Aw.
I love that. Nat deserves her own like tap number, ballet number, anything,
Yes.
something,
Yes,
something in there.
especially considering, how close she and Steve were too. So Marvel, if you're getting anything from this, is that the fans want Rogers the Musical. So please, please.
We beg of you. I don't even know how much I'd need to pay you to make it happen. I'll give you my left arm.
Bucky off camera, don't do it.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
Rocket. How much for the arm?
Meanwhile, I'm over here. It's like I have $1.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That really is. Yep. That also was another thing with Kate, like being cut off from her mom and just being like,
yes.
it's a vibe. Like that's
She's
what
like,
it's
yeah,
like to
my
be in
mom.
college. Like,
Yeah. She's like, yeah, I got, my mom cut off my credit cards. I'll she's probably like, I'll Venmo you or something.
and you could even see from like the brief moment when she opens the fridge to get Lucky food, like
Yes.
she had like a jar of jelly and like that pizza box, and that was it.
Yes. And I'm like, how old is that pizza?
I know. She's like, here, just take it. Okay, bye. Like,
I also love like that's all that Lucky is eating.
yeah,
You, like
like
put it in a
they didn't even
bowl for
try to
him and
find.
everything. Like it's just pizza. And I'm like, that's not good for the dog, but you know what? It's vibe.
Actually, yeah. Can we talk about how they literally were at a CVS? Like she could have been like, hang on, I gotta get like a bag of dog food. Like she's just like, nah. Like
Yeah, he likes pizza. The pizza dog.
the pizza dog. I love
A good
Lucky. I
boy.
can't wait to see more of him.
Yes, yes.
He's
And I
just
like that he
on.
and Clint had a brief and at first in the story, he's like, what do you want with me? He's like, get away from me. But then when it was just him alone and the dog came up to him, he's like, oh, you're a good boy. It's
I
like,
love
oh,
it.
Clint, you little softy.
It really is like that though. I feel like that's the way he treated him in the comics too, because he was like, ew, a dog. And then like then Lucky got like hit by that car and he was like, my dog.
And I think, yeah, Clint is the one who like gives him pizza at first too in the comics.
Yes.
He's like,
That's why
oh,
he
he's a good
liked
boy.
him. Because he
Hmm.
knew he could trust him because he gave him the pizza.
Yeah.
And now they just like switched it to Kate, which I'm like, I love seeing how the MCU kind of incorporates things because like they'll keep
Mhm.
similar elements, but like kind of switch it up depending on how they want the story to go.
Yeah.
So, oh, I just am
Yes.
so glad they have him either way. I love Lucky.
I know. Such a good boy. He's such a good boy.
His one eye.
I know. I know. I was actually scared because in the comics, he gets hit by the car. So I was actually scared that we were gonna like actually witness that. And like that was gonna be how he lost his eye and everything. And that's how like Kate or Clint found him and like took him in. So I'm glad he was spared the car accident in the show because we don't
Yes.
want to see that. We don't want to see that.
Yeah. I feel like they also portrayed him more as just like a stray dog instead of like, I know like in the comics he was like owned by the Tracksuit Bros
Yes.
first, right? Yeah, and then they like took him and saved him. I'm curious, like, I mean, there's still opportunity for them to find out that he was the Tracksuit Bros dog. Like, they could have something down the line, but
Could be.
we'll have to see. I'm not
We'll
sure.
see. We'll see. Speaking of the track, now that you mentioned, Lucky and the Tracksuit Mafia, because that moment when he's biting the guy who was standing guard by the van during the auction, he's like biting the guy's leg. Did he pick up the watch, or did the Tracksuit Mafia still have the watch? I can't remember
I'd
if it
have
was,
to watch it again. I can't
yeah,
remember off the top of my head.
because if they have the watch, why aren't they doing whatever it is that they were planning on doing? Why are they so focused on, and I get it, Ronan, like
Yeah.
they have a history with him and everything, but it's like, if people know like Ronan killed a bunch of people, I would not be trying to mess with said assassin. If I have like some evil plan that I'm trying to fulfill, I would, go do that, and hopefully Ronan just like stays away. Well, I guess that kind of just answered my own question. Probably trying to take Ronan out to like not interfere with their evil plan. I don't know. I'm not.
The vibe.
I'm not a mobster. I'm not. I don't know.
Now they're just obsessed with Kate because of that 2 seconds that she had it on. Kate's just like, okay.
And like, so when she's fighting them in like that wine cellar thing, it was like, it's pretty cool. She's not 100%, a super great fighter. Like, she can defend herself, but she still needs some training and everything. And then I liked how they showed immediately Clint, like his fighting style, like how he can defend himself and how he can beat down all of those guys. And Kate's like, so no, I was like, I had that. Like, I was fine. It's like, okay.
That part when she was in the wine cellar and she was like, this is exactly why I'm gonna quit. You don't even know my name. Yes. Like, I was crying. Yes. Oh, she's definitely like quick on her feet. I will say that. Like,
she is. She definitely is. When the other waiter first came up to her with the platter of glasses of champagne or something, he's like, excuse me. She's like, oh, great, thanks. Like, she's just rolling with the punches. And it's like, for somebody who has like no spy training, you're onto something there, Kate.
Exactly. She's so good.
Yeah. Oh God. So it's, 4 episodes left and still a lot of ground to cover. I'm curious to know like what's so important about the suit though, that like why Clint wasn't happy just letting it burn. Because as far as like when the whole apartment's on fire, like especially because it was like in the middle of the fire, which is another thing. How the heck I know how that guy got it. Because he's a firefighter. Yes, I totally missed that. Okay. It's okay.
I missed the hearing aid. You missed the firefighter. It's all good.
It's all good. Okay, so putting that aside. Okay, going back to my thing about the suit. Why? I get how Clint like doesn't want anybody to wear it because then people will go after that person for like stuff that Clint did. But what was his assumption that he's gonna come back for it? If like there's a fire, you assume it's gonna burn, it's not gonna be usable. Speaking of which, like that suit was still in pretty good condition considering it was surrounded by fire. Anywho,
Stark nanotech. That's all I can think.
Maybe imagine Clint going to Tony like after everybody's been dusted and Tony's like still all malnourished from being in space for like 3 weeks.
And he's like,
hey, I need a suit so I can go be an assassin and kill a bunch of criminals.
Tony, you're not gonna live in my vents? Clint, no. Okay, here. Here's like, $2,000 and a ninja suit. Have fun.
You get the Quinjet for one-way trip.
That's it.
That's it. Not a round trip. Pick wisely. Pick your destination wisely.
He's like, as a matter of fact, maybe one round trip because we all know what happened to Banner, and I'm not reliving that.
I think he'd be fine if that was Clint. If that happened to Clint.
Yeah.
He's like, now he'll never live in my vents ever again.
Oh my gosh.
Speaking of which, when Clint said, "Oh, Tony sold Avengers Tower," and Kate was like, "That's so very sad on so many
Yeah.
levels," I was like, "It is.
Like, yeah.
It is sad."
Oh, I know the first episode, like, especially when he was at the musical, like really made me think, like, I mean, I was thinking about Wanda too, but just like
Mhm.
how lonely Clint must have felt. I mean, he's a little different than Wanda, like he had his family, so like he had, you know, Laura and
Mhm.
like everybody to like as his support system, but like all of
Yeah.
his friends are gone, you know, or
Yeah.
like doing other things or not talking to him. Sam and Bucky. um
I mean, to be fair, they didn't really have a lot of
I know.
interaction. Like Clint retired at the end of Age of Ultron. That's like right when Sam joined the team.
That
And then
is
he was there
true.
for like 2 seconds in Civil War. And then when they were all on the run, Clint went back home. So like he and Sam have like no connection at all. And then forget about Bucky. Um, no, but I totally get what you're saying. Like, especially because it's like it's definitely part survivor's guilt, not with
Yeah,
not just Natasha, but like
especially.
Tony. Like if you think, I don't know if you saw the deleted like alternate version of Tony's death where
The
it's like
kneeling one?
yeah, the kneeling. Like Clint's the first
Yeah.
one to take a knee, and you can tell like it's like he like bows his head and everything, and it's like resting his head on his hand. Like it, you can tell it weighed on him so much, like Tony's death and Natasha's death, like all the sacrifices that were made so that they could all live and survive. So it's definitely survivor's guilt that he's dealing with, but also like you said, like he's not connected to any of the Avengers anymore.
Yeah.
And I feel like it would hurt me more if like the 2012 Avengers had cannons that we all had, that they all lived together, they were all besties and a family and everything. If that was like canon, I'm pretty sure like it would hurt way more.
Oh yeah.
Um, but still, even just like losing Natasha, just that alone is just like ouch.
Even like, I mean, I know it starts to get hard because everybody has different filming schedules and everything,
Yeah.
but I'm really like, I think in a real world scenario, Clint and Wanda probably would have talked.
Yeah.
Like, because Nat was both like so important to both of them, you know,
Yeah.
and the fact that they haven't connected at all, like, again, it's starting to get hard, like,
Hmm.
and this happens with other stuff too, you know, like the events of Spider-Man, like where are all the other Avengers? Like,
Yeah.
where are they? Like, you know, like even just from the trailer, it's like, okay, Doctor Strange is gonna be there, but like, where is everybody else when this is happening? And like the sky's opening up, and Peter's just like, gotta deal with it.
It's like, well, it's in the neighborhood, so
Like, yeah, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I signed up for it.
well, that reminds me too how like the Eternals and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier takes place in the same week.
Yeah,
Like it's the same amount, like
like
during the same, and it's like it makes me laugh because I think back, and I know it doesn't all happen at the same time. Like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier takes place like months after WandaVision, and Loki, that's still all confusing because like the time travel and everything. And then we know Far From Home takes place like probably a little after the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But just just thinking about how everybody's just like struggling and depressed and just dealing with all these problems, and then you have Sam and Bucky on a boat. But then that raises another question because going back to Hawkeye, the newscaster, the news reporter, whatever, was saying how like this is the first time Ronan has been spotted in years, plural.
yeah,
I'm like, but okay, so he was still Ronan like, oh, like maybe 2 weeks before they brought everybody back. So
yeah.
how many years has it been? Especially because like Cooper is so big.
He is.
He's so big, and like Lila's older too, but she still seems pretty close to her age, that she like the age she was in Avengers Endgame in that very first scene.
Mhm.
But Cooper's like too big.
Yeah, it was. I'm curious if they'll address the timeline at all. Like the more episodes come out, like if they'll talk
Yeah.
about like where it lies on the timeline and everything. But aren't also like aren't Clint's kids played by like the Russo brothers, like nieces or some, like there's some relation there.
So Lila she's played by one of their nieces or one of their daughters.
Yeah.
But I don't know about Cooper and Nate.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I
Yeah,
think that's so cool though.
yeah. I do like that they kept the same actress for Lila,
I did
because
too.
I don't like it when they change actresses or actors. Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Cassie.
Cassie Lang.
I will say though, like I felt like when they casted older Cassie, she's supposed to be like 18, right? 16, 18, somewhere in there. She looked not that age. She looked much older than that to me.
So if she's let I because I don't remember what age she is in Ant-Man and the Wasp, but I
I don't
want to
either.
say she's like 9. I want to say she's like between 9 and 12, which I know is like a big age range, but like somewhere around there, which means after 5 years, she would have to be between 14 and 17,
Yeah, yeah.
more or less, if I did that math correctly. I don't know. But so I guess it's just, to me, it's just a shame that they aged her at all, because
I know. I
I
wish
loved that little
they
girl as Cassie. She and Paul Rudd had such good chemistry together.
I
Like all
know.
their
And
scenes together just
I like understand. I know it's because they're trying to set up the young Avengers,
yeah.
but at the
Yeah.
same time, I'm just like, I miss baby Cassie. Like
I know.
she
But
was my
especially like when
fave.
you think about it, like how much time has passed since they filmed Endgame to
Yeah.
now with Ant-Man Quantumania, or ooh Ant-Man ooh. um that like I mean, I don't know how old she looks now, but I feel like they could
Yeah.
have gotten away with
Who they
using
had
her.
originally. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
Whatever.
We're just a little salty about it.
Just a little. Just a
Cassie
little.
should have been blipped because Scott
I
deserves his time with
yes.
his baby girl.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Not to mention, like, I feel that would have been more of a motivation for him to try to bring everybody back. Like, I know he loves Hope. That's like a whole thing. I just feel like that would have been more motivation for him to get his daughter back, especially because then like Tony could relate to him more, because then Tony's like, I kind of also want to get my kid back too. But that's again, that's a whole different topic for another time.
Oh man,
It's a lot. It's a lot.
it's
And
a lot.
yeah, I mean, I get it. I guess, yeah, because Clint, he lost all his kids, so then it would be very repetitive. So, and like,
It's true.
I
It is true.
appreciated how in the first episode of Hawkeye that you can tell Clint's like, he's being, in my opinion, at least, he's being like a little overbearing. Like it feels like he's like, I just want to do all the fun things because I never thought I was going to get my kids back. And I appreciate how the kids aren't like annoyed with him, that they're just kind
Yeah.
of embracing it, and I assume they understand like where he's coming from.
I think in some aspects too, they probably are also excited about it because if you think about it, like he's always until he retired,
Yeah.
he's always away. Like they never
Yeah.
like he probably didn't even get to see the I mean, he saw them grow up, but like he
Hmm.
probably missed good chunks of it,
Yeah.
So to them, they're probably like, New York with dad. And then he's like,
Yeah.
by the way, I'm sending you home. And they're like,
Like, oh, okay.
Lila's like, thanks, dad. Like
And I love how she just calls him out. She's like, you have a cut on your head. Then there's the whole ninja thing going on. Like, what is happening?
Oh, she
Yeah.
has so much of her mom in her. Like
Yes.
Laura's
Okay.
so much like that. Like
Can we talk about Laura a little bit? I love how she's just like in the know about everything.
yes.
Yes.
I loved
Like
that. She was like, "Oh man, the tracksuit bros again." Like
those guys.
really?
And then when Clint was like, oh, I'm gonna do like a catch and release, and she's like, oh, one of Natasha's old moves. I was
Yes.
like, oh, she knows. She's not
Oh,
just some stay-at-home wife. Like
I loved
she
that.
knows everything. I
Yeah.
it's yeah,
No, I
Laura Barton.
really,
I
really
gave
like
her a
that.
hard time when Age of Ultron came out. But I same thing with Clint. Like I feel like the characters are getting much better writing to work
Yep.
with.
It's like
So
their redemption show.
yes, yes. And depending on how it goes, maybe we'll get a season 2. Who
I
knows?
really hope. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
I
do all the
love this show
holidays.
so far. No, literally like Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Valentine's Day. Cupid.
Exactly.
Some serial killer in New York City going by Cupid. It's going after people who like cheat on their significant others. There we go. He just wrote the new season.
Perfect.
There it
Matt
is.
Fraction, if you're watching, me and Catherine, we've
We're
just written
here.
a whole new season of Hawkeye
We
for
got
you.
it. We got it all figured out.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I just like, as someone who's just getting into the comics too, like
Mhm.
the Matt Fraction run, I think out of everything I've read so far has been one of my favorites. And to be able to see that like represented on screen was so cool
Yeah.
for me. Like I just felt like I was getting new versions of the comics that we love, you know? Like I was like,
Yeah.
yes, like it's familiar characters and you like love their storylines and everything, but it's like a new aspect of it and it's like reliving that. It's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. The Matt Fraction comic. This was the first comic that I ever owned, that I ever read. And it's so I completely agree. It's so great to like see it finally realized. And like you said before, just seeing these characters being redeemed and being written the way they were supposed to be.
Exactly.
It's just a fun show, especially, the how they like tie in like, the holiday music in there with the score and everything. They're there to have a good time, and I'm here to have a good time with them.
Yes. It gives me like, it's so funny because sometimes the music gives me like half sitcom vibes and then it's like the next scene is like dramatic violin. Like it's so, it's so like,
Yes.
oh, but that's what makes it so good. Like I just
Mhm.
love it.
So good. Such a good show.
I can't wait for the next like couple of episodes. It's gonna be so
Yeah.
good.
Now they've set it up really well, and I can see why they put out those first 2 episodes together. It's very similar to like how they did with WandaVision, because I feel like just one episode isn't quite enough. That's nothing against the pilot of Hawkeye. I think this episode as it stands alone is very good, but we want to see, we want to see Kate and Clint interact, and they don't meet until the very end of the episode. And to kind of, go into a little theorizing conspiracies over here. So it wasn't until recently that Marvel was like, "Oh, we're going to release the first 2 episodes on the same day." That was never being discussed. That wasn't a thing. So if you count out like the weeks of with the episodes and everything, episode 5 comes out the Wednesday before No Way Home. And so episode
Yeah.
6 comes out afterwards. So it's like, okay, if they decided kind of all of a sudden that they're going to do the first 2 episodes so that episode 5 matches up with No Way Home, makes me wonder if there's going to be some connection between No Way Home and episodes 5 and 6 of Hawkeye,
That's a good point.
right?
Maybe this will be connected to the watch or something.
The what? Maybe Wilson Fisk, Daredevil. Oh, meanwhile, I'm over here like, bring back Daredevil.
You're like, bring him back. Oh
Man, I'm
gosh.
just saying, because the rumors with Vincent D'Onofrio being in the show, and with him, because Kingpin was originally a Spider-Man villain. So
Yes.
in the opening the multiverse and everything, like, and if Matt Murdock is going to be Peter Parker's lawyer, who knows? Like, that would be, if those pieces like align, then it would make sense. Like, oh, we have to, make sure we don't give too much away for Spider-Man / give too much away for episode 6 of Hawkeye. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
There's so many ways they could take the rest of this show too, which is
Yeah.
so awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited.
No, that's absolutely true. Like, there's like, we have an idea of where it's gonna go, but it really could go anywhere, because I feel like that's just kind of the vibe of the show. It's just chaos. Going back to Kate Bishop, it's just chaos, and in a good way.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, and that is it for this episode of the Fandom Report. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in, and a huge thank you to Jess for joining me on this
Thanks for having
episode.
me.
Make sure you guys follow Jess. She is on Instagram, she is on TikTok, Female Peter Parker, and I will put the links in the description box. down below. So again, thank you guys all so much for tuning in, and we will see you on the next episode. Bye.